My name is Wyatt Beason, and my topic that I've chosen today is about the business world and how business is going to respond to climate change as it becomes an increasingly imminent threat. So, the topic of my question today is how is the business world responding to its increasingly significant impact it's having on climate change? And to start with this, we need to look at some historical perspective of what's happened with CO2 levels and how business might have been related to that. And so if we look at a graph here, we can see the CO2 levels over time, and it has an exponential rise in the amount that is in the atmosphere over the last hundreds of years. And if you notice, when the J curve starts to turn up is around 1850, right when the Industrial Revolution happened, which is when coal became a main source of energy for a lot of parts in the United Kingdom, and started increasing human CO2 output by significant factors and started setting this J curve into motion. So now what we have to look at next is we have to change our perspective to look from a business's point of view and why the businesses are making these decisions the way they are. So in a business world, a business exists to make a profit. So all of their decisions they are making are going to be to their own benefit so that they can thrive. So basically, for a business to have to go green, they have to be incentivized in some way or have some kind of motive for them to want to do that. So some examples of how businesses could be incentivized are customer relations, pressure from competitors, or anticipation of future laws, for example. All of these are decisions they would make so that they can keep up in the environment. Because if they don't keep their customers happy with the way they are ethically going about their business decisions, they might go somewhere else. And if they are not keeping up with their competitors in terms of if their competitors are swapping over to more efficient and easier ways to do things and ways to keep things going smoothly, then they're going to fall behind in that area too. However, another thing that has to be considered is that some types of business environments, the customers may not have a priority on their business acting ethically. So, for example, in a grocery store in a low-income area, it's doubtful that the consumers are going to want to switch if they hear about their company being very inefficient with the way they dispose of trash. So, some areas do require the government to intervene in and put laws in place for this area. So it differs depending on the type of environment, but some areas do require government intervention to incentivize these businesses by fines and control so that they won't be making unethical decisions that go against the interest of the planet. So to bring some science into this and to kind of answer the question of so what, I've brought up this graph to answer a lot of questions about why this is important and what impact this has on the planet. So basically, like I said earlier, businesses are responsible for a very large part of the CO2 emissions. So we need to understand why these businesses are making the decisions the way they are and how the science will play in, because the business and the science world have a kind of barrier that separates them. So connecting them is in a very important role so that businessmen and scientists can make decisions together for the interest of the planet and not only for themselves. So here we can see some different scenarios that are going on and the amount of temperature that will increase in the earth if we go with the way we are. So the very top area, the red line, represents what will happen if nothing changes and no action is taken to halt the amounts of CO2 being produced. And we can also see the different paths that the world can take now with these different trend lines and projections. And one thing that becomes clear looking at all of them is that we have already done a significant amount of damage to our planet. So it is more crucial now more than ever to work with the business world, and so the government and business world can work together to benefit the future of our planet. So it's important for these kinds of climate conferences that you hear about taking place. This is what is mainly being discussed, is what kind of regulations should be put on businesses so that they will be incentivized to stop hurting our planet. So to answer my question into a single statement, how is the business world responding to its increasingly significant impact it has on climate change? The answer is it is waiting for incentive to come in either from other businesses consumers, or the government to make them want to change.